I want to talk to you about a strategy in competition, where whether it's business, sports, or even life, called attrition warfare. And if you haven't heard of attrition, it's basically grinding down the other side. Or if you've seen in football, for example, if you watch football or basketball, let's say a team is up by 5 points and there's 2 minutes left to go, and the winning team has the ball. They could try to score and put more points on the clock or points on the board, but if they do that, they risk giving up the ball. So what you'll see is a lot of times the quarterback will throw an incomplete pass, or they'll run the ball for 2 yards safely, and then before the next play starts, another 15, 20, 30 seconds goes by before they start the next play. And then as they get closer to the 0 count on the game clock, the quarterback may just down the ball, and then they can wait 20, 25 seconds before they start the next play. And so that is an example of attrition. Another version is what Walmart does. Walmart started in smaller towns, and then what they did was they started building up their book and their notoriety. As they got more assets, they would go into other towns. And the idea was you could come in, and if you had enough revenue or you had enough resources, what could you do? Well, if you have a few $1,000,000 and the mom and pop shop maybe has 50K, all you have to really do, and here's what Walmart did, is they just dropped their price a little bit. And so the mom and pop shops either have to drop their price or they have to compete on something else. And a lot of the mom and pop shops were not able to compete. Walmart was able to take a loss for 6 to 12 months at a time, long enough for them to still survive in whatever town they were in, but drive out the smaller competitors. And that's another example of attrition. So probably the best version you could ever see of this, even better than the examples I'm giving here, is a movie called Days of Thunder with Tom Cruise. So this is an older movie. I believe it was back in the 90s, where Tom Cruise is a race car driver. And he gets into trouble for crashing into his competitors on the track. And Senator Fred Thompson, he was a U.S. Senator years ago. He's also an actor. You've probably seen him in movies and shows. Was kind of like the NASCAR boss. And so he calls Tom Cruise in and one of the other racers, and he tells them a little story to get them on the same page and stop them from crashing and causing problems. And he tells the story of something called Japanese dock inspection. So if you haven't seen this movie, or maybe you've seen it but it's been years, you may remember this. And the story goes like this. Fred Thompson says, whenever the Japanese dock workers get a big load of lettuce, but they're not quite ready either to inspect it, or maybe they think it's bad, but they're not sure. Maybe they're not ready to do anything. All they do is they just sit and they wait. Now, what happens after a week or 2 weeks? Eventually the lettuce goes bad. And by then you can just kind of get rid of it. You don't have to inspect it. It's already rotten. And Fred Thompson says, I'm going to use Japanese dock inspection on you two racers if you keep screwing around. Basically, just let them sit on the side. They'll not be able to do their careers and race cars. Eventually, they'll get old enough or frustrated and they'll quit. And so that's kind of his last red flag message to the two, Tom Cruise and the other driver who are screwing around, is, if you don't follow my rules, we're going to treat you like Japanese dock inspection and just kind of let you rot and sit on the sidelines until you retire or you quit. And this is a brilliant example of attrition. A lot of times when we're in a battle or in a competition, our caveman lizard brain tells us we've got to fight, we've got to do something. But sometimes the right answer is this. The right answer is this, or this. Or another example is, if you've ever worked in a corporate environment, right? And you're trying to move up or you're trying to get more money, what you'll see is there's a younger employee, maybe say 35, and they work alongside maybe a 55-year-old. And these two may be competing for a raise or a promotion. Now, the 35-year-old may be frustrated because they think they should be promoted, and the 55-year-old says, well, wait, I'm next in line, I should be promoted. But if the 35-year-old could fight things, or what they could do is they could do attrition. If the 35-year-old waits long enough, maybe the 55-year-old retires, or maybe the 55-year-old runs out of energy, right? Because mostly you have more energy for BS in the workplace when you're younger. When you're older, you just kind of cast it aside. An attrition strategy would be the 35-year-old waits until the 55-year-old gets tired of playing the game or just retires, and then the 35-year-old moves up. So this is another example of attrition. Is what you need to do is figure out, do you need to fight, or can you just grind down your opponent until eventually they take themselves off the board or take themselves out of the game? I mean, here's another example. Let's say two people are running a race or need some sort of stamina, whether it's mental stamina or physical stamina, and you've got one person here and you've got another person here. This is a belly, by the way. I'm a bad drawer. If these two are in a race and the race is long enough, could the skinnier person just go long enough without tiring out until the heavier person drops off from exhaustion? That's another version of attrition, is using time or resources or disadvantages on one side, in this case the aging and the patience, in this case the weight, against your opponent. And it's not so much you trying to do something, it's you using time or another factor to basically just grind the other person down, where they take themselves off the board. I mean, I've seen this too in ping pong. You've got your standard ping pong table. Here's your net. Here's one side. Here's another side. You've got two players. This player is more patient, so they're just going to hit the ball here and then here and make this person run back and forth until they just give up or tire out. They're not hitting the ball extra hard. They're not trying to be overpowering. They're just grinding this person down left and right until they get tired. We see it in tennis as well. They're using a force outside themselves to grind down their competition. And so think about, in your life, battles or competitions you're in, and see if you can employ this strategy, attrition, just grinding the other side down. And here's one more example I just came to mind. Warfare. We're talking about actual warfare. How does a smart army, and I'm going to cover this in other videos, but how does a smart general or smart leadership of an army, forgetting about firing shots and bombs and rockets, how does a smart army use this to grind down the other side? Well, here is a path. Here's the army, the other side, and here's the resources they need to get. They need food, they need water, they need clothes, they need bullets, bandages, all that stuff. What does the smart general do? He can keep shooting at the other side, or what could he do? Take over the supply lines. If I put my troops here, the opposition's here, and the resources they need to get can only come in one way, what happens? Eventually, we starve the other side out. No food, no water, no bullets. I don't have to fire a shot. I own the resource. I own the supply chain. If I own the supply line, it's only a matter of time before these people either throw up the white flag or get desperate and they have to make a move. Eventually, they're going to wear themselves down. And to wrap this video up, because I've given you a few examples, is think about these examples. And you don't have to be a football player. You don't have to be in business to worry about Walmart. You don't even have to be in the army to respect this strategy. How can you use time, resources, or some sort of external pressure without fighting, without throwing fists or getting upset, to grind down your opponent until they take themselves off the board and you win? I want to thank you for watching.